All right, then this is going to be an interesting one. Welcome back to League Two Lowdown. Of course, this is Jordan Richards. I've not been on for a little bit. Look, I'll be straight up and honest with you. Obviously, the FA Cup took priority this weekend, the first round, as you maybe have known. And there's no real set plan. I guess we'll probably look at the FA Cup and talk about whatever's on our mind, I guess. Yeah, look, this is what we're doing when there's no League Two action to talk about. Really, we've just been talking for the best part of half an hour, and really, I probably should have just pressed record, really. Although I think Ryan would have maybe had a good time using that bleep machine with the amount of times I swore there. But let's, I don't know, it's just going to be a bit of a chill chat. I've got Luke and Jack with me, especially Luke. I've not seen for a while. I know we've pointed it out. At the start, it was one of the worst. The worst. Yeah, no, because I don't like seeing you. It's one of the first times I've seen you for a little bit, because I know you've done a lot of podcasts with Jack Mitchener and of course Jack Walton. I know we did one a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I mean, I'll say how are you, but really we've already had that chat.
Yeah, I mean, we have, but at the same time, I'm just going to reiterate that it's just great to see you both again. I feel like I've not spoken to you properly in ages. But, I mean, as you say, we don't really have as much of a set in stone plan today. We did kind of have one or two ideas or whatnot of what we're going to do with no league action. But to be honest, this is just going to be a bit of fun, isn't it? It's just a nice little change of pace for us, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've not been on the pod for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks at this point now, which, I mean, everything has just been so fast-paced the past few weeks for me. But no, it's good to be back. It's good to be talking League Two football and be back on the pod with both of you. And yeah, I mean, if we ignore the football for an hour, then I'm gonna be happy.
I mean, I think Tranmere football on people's minds. I don't think that's the main primary focus anyway. Really,
No.
Considering another defeat in the FA Cup again yesterday, I'm just pretty much going on about how much you're not a very good side. But
great
start. I like this already.
Tranmere fans, this is the thing. Look, this is the case of we've got no plan. Let's take a look. At the FA Cup, of course, being a Grimsby Town fan, we've had some good memories in the FA Cup. Most recently, a few years ago, where we made the quarterfinals, making history, knocking out 5 sides, divisions below us. The only club in the Cup's history to do that. Last season, we lost in the first round to Widston. I'd prefer not to speak about it. And yesterday, we just about beat Ebbsfleet after a really poor first half, really. Not much to say. Another red card in that game. I think the Gills fans will like that one. But we got the job done in the end, and we're through. I'm still not quite sure if an FA Cup run is as big of a priority. I think already with the Carabao Cup run now. Obviously, we did lose to Brentford in the week, a class above. Like they were just a class above, really. But there was a few bright moments in that game. They were just dead clinical. They actually rocked up to Blundell Park and played like a Premier League side, unlike Man United. Yeah, they did the job, and they're just a bit of a class outfit. But so it's good to be in the hat for the second round, and that'll probably be the last I'll talk about it. I guess you do two just want to mention your games. A chat probably is no.
No, we're just going to make you talk about it for the whole hour. It's just going to be how Tranmere lost again.
Tranmere lost to Stockport County, who are flying high in League One.
That might help me. It's a bit of comfort, that. No, yeah, I mean, starting with Tranmere, obviously, to be honest, I don't think we did that badly. I mean, a game against Stockport County is probably one of the worst draws you could have got, considering the high flying in League One. And doing really well. I mean, they started a solid size, but I thought first half, reasonably, we managed them. I mean, going in at the break 0-0, it could have been a cricket score if you predicted it before the game. So to go in 0-0 and to have a fairly good performance in the first half, no complaints. But then when you come off the game losing 3-1, it's a lost opportunity. It's one of them. It's a shame. That's all. all cups done and dusted now for the season once again. I think that's the 4th season in a row that we're out the FA Cup in the first round for the first time in our history, which is always nice. And ultimately we'd come back, score, make it 1-1, and then a couple silly mistakes for a free kick and potentially goalkeeper positioning, and 3 minutes later they rock up with another goal to put them back in front, and then finish it off in the 91st minute. So it's what's expected, done and dusted, back onto another league game once again, unfortunately.
And so the journey ends already. Yeah, I mean, for us, it's it's the only cup we've got left. I know we've got one more EFL Trophy game left against Swindon, but we're already out, so that will just be the kids playing.
Same, we've got Everton's kids in midweek, and I really couldn't care less again.
It's like the most pointless game. Well, this is a training game at that point. But no, I mean, if we're in the hat, that makes a change. I feel like our recent history for the FA Cup has been pretty tragic as well, to be fair. I think last time we were through, it was when we beat Taunton, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago. And we haven't actually beaten a league team in the FA Cup since like 2018, 2019. It's been a while.
Wow.
So yeah, actually winning a game for a change is quite nice. It's kind of like what Paul Warne said about it in both his pre-match and his post-match. Actually, it's just give yourself a chance, get into the hat for the third round, and maybe you get a big tie or something like that, or maybe you get another easy tie like a Man United, and you get through to the 4th round, and you go again, and eventually you get a big game. But other than that, these first couple of rounds, it's just a good chance to test yourself. I think any team in League 2 that's worth their soul is going to fancy themselves against most teams that are currently in the hat. So, or at least we do anyway. We fancy ourselves against most of the League 1 teams. Whether we'd actually beat them, I don't know, but we'd give it a good go. But the important thing is that we're in the hat, and I mean, to be honest, I just want the easy game second round so we can get through to the third round. We've had one win. I want to. I'm being greedy.
What would you class as easy? That was probably the question I was going to. I mean, you can't have Wimbledon. Because they lost against
that would have been really easy. That would have been unfair. Could have played the kids against them. But no. I jest. To be honest, I feel like we've never. I might be wrong. I feel like we've never lost to a non-league team. So just any non-league team at home would take it easily. I'd happily have something like that. Just get us through, and then see where we go after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, obviously, this question's irrelevant to Jack. I'm sorry, mate. But
back for the next part.
Look, I don't really know who I want. We're the only side, I guess, if there's a positive, we're the only side flying the flag of Lincolnshire high in the next round. Scunny are out, Lincoln are out. Salford doing us a solid there yesterday with that one. Gainsborough got knocked out to Accrington Stanley just now. I've just finished that game, actually. I went to extra time. Yeah, I don't really know who I want. I'm sort of having a look at these sort of games now. I feel like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really bothered if we get knocked out or not. But at the same time, I wasn't really that fussed about yesterday, but at the same time, I didn't really, with the greatest respect to Ebbsfleet, I didn't really want to be knocked out by a side 2 divisions below. It just looked a bit, it had just been a little bit embarrassing, really. And especially after last year, the way we lost to Wildston, I just didn't want it again. And going into that game, I certainly felt vibes from it. But yeah, look, I mean, actually, you said non-league side yesterday, Lee. You said you wanted Boreham Wood, and I questioned you on it. But so,
this is it. Like for me, that is like just based on like where I live and all the rest of it. That is an easy away day for us, and then you can just go back to St Albans or afterwards for a few drinks or whatever or something like that, or even just a London away day. Give us like a non-league London away day. I think Wealdstone is still in. I think Sutton are still in. I know we had them in the league, obviously not that long ago, but just if we have to go away to a random place, make it somewhere interesting like that, that's easy for us to do, and a good day out, even if the ground itself probably isn't quite as nice, respectfully. Otherwise, just give us a home tie and get us through. I just want us to get through a couple of rounds. Like I said, it's our last cup, and we've got a big squad, so it's our best chance to actually use that squad. Now that we've actually got some players available for a change, which is quite nice.
Perfect. I know I did mention Boreham Wood there as well. 3-0 winners against Crawley yesterday. And Ryan Loft got red carded more. I think he's got more red cards than goals this season. But yeah, I was actually listening to Scott Lindsay's post match yesterday. Actually, obviously, he called the performance disgusting, and I expect nothing less from that. But I also put in a chat yesterday. I'm not sure if you'd agree. You not quite there yet, but I know it's easy to say on sort of a one-off game. I know that Crawley have had a couple good results, but there's quite a lot of inconsistency there as well. But I guess you could say the same about the league at the minute as a whole. But I honestly do feel the longer time goes on, the more time I'm thinking maybe Scott Lindsay. I'm saying Scott Lindsay in particular, so and Crawley. I don't think they're as safe as what some people are making. I guess we can maybe talk about it. It might be good something to mention in maybe another pod, or maybe even this one. We'll just talk about it. But Cheltenham are picking up results. Whether I know that we'll mention how long it's sustainable, but at the minute they're picking up results. The Steve Cotterill feel good factors in there. Newport have shown last few weeks they can maybe get one or two results, but again, I still got a load of questions around them. Same with Shrewsbury. It feels like quite tight at the minute, and I'm seeing more. Probably not so much Newport. I probably do need to see a little bit more, but certainly from the other two mentions, I mean, Shrewsbury really picked up. I'm starting to look at them and I'm thinking, actually, what are they worse than them at the minute? And I'm starting to get to that point. Is it a case of sentiment? Maybe I feel with Scott Lindsay, I think that's maybe what it is a little bit. And obviously he's got a load of goodwill at Crawley anyway. But I think sentiment has a place in football, but I think this to some extent, and he's a load of words at the minute. But ultimately, he needs to start getting some. I think he needs to start getting more out of these players because the way they're going at the minute. I mean, because the table doesn't lie really. We're starting to get to that point where it's not starting to lie. I think there's a chance he could be out of a job if he doesn't turn around, even with the goodwill in the bank. That's just my opinion of it anyway. But I feel like we're getting to that point. I know it's easy to say after a one-off game. It is. But I think it was also the manner at times as well, and some of the manner of some of those defeats, I feel.
Yeah, I can certainly see where you're coming from with it. But, at the same time, if you go off a one-off result, they also just beat Bristol Rovers 4-0. I know that happens to them every week at the minute, but case in point, they still they still put them to the sword a bit. So they do have moments, and they it just of the inconsistent teams, they are probably one of the least consistent, if we're being totally honest, at this moment in time. But then with the run that they've been on such a bad run, and it's only now that they've kind of hit in those sort of relegation spots, whilst the other teams have kind of been on the rise a little bit, which again, we're kind of skeptical over whether those runs will actually last or not. At the minute, I do still think they'll have enough about them just because they can secure, the odd result here or there where other teams perhaps might not. Yeah, I don't know. It is a tricky one. I can certainly see the argument more to suggest that they're going to come into the fight. I just think that as things stand, I still think they've got a little bit more about them than perhaps some of these other teams. Although I appreciate that recent runs have sort of changed that narrative at least a little bit. I suppose the only other thing to mention is the thing that I pretty much always mention when I talk about Crawley, which is their entire recruitment strategy of changed the entire squad pretty much every season. And perhaps this is the case where it's actually catching up to them. It's definitely something worth considering, but yeah, I don't want to make any bold calls too early with them because I think we need to see more But I can certainly see where you're coming from with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly young, fairly inexperienced for some part squad. I think that's my worry is, do they have those leaders in the dressing room that can provide them with the wins and the results and the hard graft that they need, and that sort of leadership to drag your teammates out of that mess when they are losing them and when they are going on a run like that. And I'm not sure if they have them. I think the manager comes halfway with that. I think he's got it, but the players have to do it themselves. And whether they have that, yeah, I'm not too sure. I think that it was always going to be an experiment for Crawley. It always is. It always has been for the past few seasons, really. Like you say, transfer strategy obviously changes, seems to be consistently with ownership, and managerial changes obviously back now. But yeah, it's a weird one, and I mean, like you've said, you both pointed out, they beat Bristol Rovers 4-0, was it? And then followed that up with losing 3-0 to a team in the division below.
Can I just also point out as well, a week before that Bristol Rovers game, they lost to Shrewsbury.
Yeah,
and already
those are big results.
And a week before that, I'll point out they'd drawn to Walsall, who were top of the league.
The results just make no sense. They are so inconsistent. You cannot predict a Crawley game. That's just all we've learned here, pretty much.
So, and I think, consistency is key in this division. If you've not got consistency, you're not going to do well. We saw that last season, where the teams who weren't consistent enough fell down, and your Bradfords got promoted because they went on a 20-game unbeaten run or whatever it was. And same with a fair few teams who were up there last season. So if you're not going on one of those runs, you're not going to climb the table. I don't think they will this team. Crawley this time. I'm going to put myself out on a limb and say I don't think those bottom 6 teams escape the bottom 6 this season. So Harrogate, Cheltenham, Accrington, Shrewsbury, Crawley, Newport. I think they'll be the bottom 6 sides fighting for relegation.
I agree.
And I think they're going to remain.
Case for Harrogate. I think you can make it at least a little.
Not with the way they're going at the minute.
Well,
losing 4 on the spin
on current form, perhaps not. But I do think there is something about that squad that could at least rise a little bit more.
I think they're the better of the bunch in terms of paper and quality. Obviously, they're on a bit of a limit at the minute. But I mean, they're down there for a reason. They've been poor last few weeks. Results.
I mean, this is the one season, and I've said it so on every podcast I've been in. This is the one season where I'm also supporting Harrogate and saying how good they are because of how many times I've said they're going to get relegated, and they've proved me so incredibly wrong. So it would be typical if they got relegated this season. I mean, losing in the last game.
They'll still find ways to take points off us, though.
Exactly.
I'm sure of it.
They find those ways.
They've got goals in them. They do have goals in them. They've got a few more goals than a lot of the teams that are down there, and a few teams above them as well. For me, there is something about that side. I know they're on a bad run at the minute, but for me, that's just League Two in a nutshell, isn't it? At the minute, no one can find that level where they're constantly grinding out results, and naturally, it's going to be a little bit tougher for a side like Harrogate that don't have the resources or anything like that in their favour. So they're going through it perhaps a little bit at the minute. I still think that there's enough quality in that side to not be threatened by the current bottom 5. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the last result, 3-0 to rock bottom is always a struggle. I'm going to mention it. I've always got to mention it. At what point do you sack the manager? How long through do we have to go?
It's not happening. Stop bringing it up.
It's going to be a question at some point.
They can finish bottom. They could probably lose all their games, and I don't think they'd do it. Well, maybe that's a bit too extreme, but it'd have to take a lot again.
It'd take a lot, but it'll be interesting to see when pressure starts to build up, if it does. But we'll wait and see.
Can I just also mention something on Crawley as well? They've won 2 games this season, back-to-back wins, and those 2 wins were against Cheltenham and Harrogate as well. I think there's maybe something to think about there.
Yeah, I mean, when we played Crawley, I was impressed with them. I thought in the first half they should have been 1 or 2 or 3 up, really. I think they've got a good, exciting team, but they can't put the chances away. And if Harry McCurdy's injured or suspended or not hitting form, then you're struggling. And unfortunately, that's happening more times than it's not. I mean, he's suspended at the moment, I think, isn't he? Or he was recently.
Well, yeah, he got sent off again.
Yeah, true.
Really.
And it's even just if you can get the most out of someone like Shamanga. I know I've called it in the past. I've called him a bit of a penalty merchant when I think he was at Swindon when I said that. But he is a player that is capable of scoring goals, but it's just finding ways of actually making that happen, because otherwise you are dependent on Loft. And I think on this pod we're perhaps not the most appreciative of his efforts.
This is it. I've got. Sorry, go.
No, go ahead. You're all good.
They've got Danny Cashman. They've got Dion Pereira. They've got Kareem Dixon. Like Louis Watson impressed me when we played them. They've got these talented younger players who are really creative and have that ability to drive at teams and push and pressure. And you look at the strike force, and I think I could challenge up front. It's one of, but yeah, maybe not. But it's one of them where you're looking at and you're going, that's nowhere near the quality of the rest of the side, and they're going to need goals. You need goals to survive, and the creativity in that team's been wasted.
Look, put it this way. I know we'll move on in a sec because we've talked about Crawley a fair bit, but this has been a good discussion. Let's just put it this way. I'm not unconvinced by them. I'm just not convinced.
Yeah, that's just kind of sat in the middle at the minute. Yeah, I get where you're going with that.
But I'm starting to sway towards being unconvinced that this is as safe as what people are maybe saying. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that was all right. I guess. Look, I'll run through the other FA Cup results involving League Two sides, button whenever you want, really. Obviously, we discussed about that one with Crawley losing 3-0 away. We should probably mention as well, Boreham Wood aren't a bad side. I think they're right up there in the National League. I know they've had a season in the National League South, but I think in terms of placement, there's not much separating it. So let's not think for 1 minute it's just like some sort of I guess it's somewhat is an underdog in the sort of sense that yes, they're a league below, but I think if you'd have asked me before the day, it was a Boreham Wood win was certainly something I could have seen.
With home advantage as well. It's definitely one of the more believable ones, the more predictable ones, I suppose.
I mean, Luke Garrard is a cracking manager. I mean, I know he's he's struggled at times, and I would have said about 10 years ago I would have took him, or not 10, maybe 8. Back to when they were in the playoff final. I'm going to mention that because we talked about it earlier, but. He is a really good manager, so he's got potential and he can cause those big upsets. I'm sure there was a couple of seasons ago in the FA Cup with Boreham Wood, so he's proven his worth once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a lot of time for Luke Garrard. Actually, he's always been really good with them whenever we played Boreham Wood in non-league, especially in the season that. Our previous season when we got up there, when we got promoted in 2022. Other results. Bristol Rovers didn't lose 4-0. They won 2-1. I was convinced that they drew 2-2. Because I saw I think they had a last minute goal disallowed, didn't they, Bromley? Weren't they like celebrating and everyone was going mental. And I sort of just walked in, just checked my phone, checked the results, and I saw that Bristol Rovers had won 2-1 in normal time. I was like, I beg your pardon. I was convinced Bromley scored and took it to extra time. But I guess it's probably it stops the rot, really. I guess, yes, albeit not in the league, but I think it's always important that happened. Cambridge won. They won 3-0 against Chester. I don't think they're doing the great. I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't think Chester are doing the greatest in the National League North at the minute. I know they lost the playoff final to Scunthorpe last season, which automatically gets a big boo. But yeah, job done for Cambridge. Killing Kwasi getting a couple of goals. James Brophy with one. As professional, I think you can get, really. Cheltenham, they beat Bradford by 1-0. Of course, that letdown marker. And the goal for that was controversial, wasn't it? Do you think? Like, I mean, he sort of took the free. It's such a weird one. He sort of took the free kick, like something to do with the ref and his whistle or something like that. Just blew way too late, and some players stopped playing, and Issac Hutchinson had it in it. I don't know, but I saw a lot of Bradford fans kicking off. I think Graham Alexander was sent off actually.
Max Power said after the game they should have retaken it, which I think is the fair option. But how can you complain from a Cheltenham perspective? You're not going to complain. How can you retake it? But yeah, of
course not. Of course, this is a Bradford side flying high in League One, doing incredibly well in League One, and fair props to them, by the way. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with Bradford. I feel I respect him as the club, but in fact, I'm not going to say anymore because but Issac Hutchinson with another goal. I'll tell you what, he's looking like a very good player for Cheltenham, and I think he's sort of. I feel that maybe at times throughout this season already, yes, they've done the business in pretty much every game since Steve Cottrell's come back, but he especially, he really looks a bit of influence. Really looks such an influential player with them, and God help me if an injury was to happen for him, things could look a little bit pear-shaped. But no, it looks good. It looks like he's enjoying his football as well, considering what happened with him at Bristol Rovers with some of their fans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he looks very decent. To be fair, I mean, some of the highlights already that we've gone through in like past weeks, very, very impressive. And yeah, I definitely do think he is probably the creative key in that team. But that's not to say that they don't have players that could potentially come good again. You're looking at the wingers, Jordan Thomas, Ethan Archer, and players like that haven't hit the heights of how good they were last season, but we know they're capable because they've done it before, and that's going to be a big key for Cottrell whether he can start to get the best out of such players. Because like I keep sort of discussing when it comes to Cheltenham, their mentality and everything has improved massively since Cottrell came in. But there's going to come a point where it starts to be a bit more about what you can get out of these players in terms of quality. And it's going to be unlocking that's going to be the difficult bit. And for me, that's going to shape how they do for the rest of the season. Obviously, the run they've been on is fantastic. I don't want to take anything away from that. But there's going to come a time where they do eventually lose a game. Not a single team is going unbeaten for the rest of the season from this point. And when that adversity does come, that's where we're going to start to see a bit more about what Cottrell's Cheltenham actually what they're about, essentially.
Yeah, I think for me the whole idea of it is mentality is so easy and quick to change. Quality is a long, slow process of change, and you don't flick a switch. Someone joins League Two and they're terrible after dominating League One. It doesn't happen like that. And so the mentality's just got to be right, and it is at the moment. When it stops, if it does stop, do they have the quality? I think we're all asking that question. I don't think it's a criticism of Cheltenham. I really don't. It's a question that you've got to ask because they were where they were before Cottrell came in. So I think it's a fair question. I don't think any fans can have complaints on that, but do they have the quality in their squad? I'd be interested to see what Cheltenham fans think of that after such a poor start and then sort of regaining momentum. Take away the manager. Is that squad good enough for League Two? We'll see.
We will. Yeah, we will. Let's have a look at some of the other games. Crewe Doncaster played each other. Of course, a repeat of that semi-final from the past couple of years ago. Doncaster got the winning goal in the 92nd minute through Owen Bailey. Mickey Dimitri with the early goal of the game for the Alex. Of course, that was a week after Crewe beat Grimsby. Emre Tezgel hat-trick there. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough there. But yeah, Doncaster getting the upper hand on that one. Fleetwood knocked out Barnet in an all League Two tie. In that one, an 86-minute goal from Harrison Holgate. I know that was it Calmstead for Barnet with a late goal in the 89th minute, not enough there. Newport Gillingham went to penalties after drawing 2-2. Seb Palmer Holden inevitably in the 118th minute. Kieran's heartbroken. We should probably mention as well if you're not. Of course, I know we've not seen Kieran for a little bit, but I should probably make you all aware if you've not seen the tweet that he's no longer part of this podcast. Of course, we do wish him well. We're still laughing at him with Newport, but they won the penalty shootout. I'm assuming Jordan Wright made a couple of saves in it. One thing I'll give him credit for, he is good at saving penalties, and there's a couple of good results for Newport now. That has sort of lifted the mood a little bit. A couple of obviously big league wins against Accrington and Harrogate, losing to Cheltenham. I mean, in the middle of that, but maybe they're on the way up. Maybe I say they've got to test themselves against better opposition. I think. Gillingham are having this little bit of a rut. It's their usual, really. It's what it's starting to feel like now a little bit. But I guess we'll have to see. They've got to start picking up some wins. I guess it's in cup in this one, but should probably, it's there to see. A Michael Mellon hat-trick for Oldham against Northampton. Very good day for him. Very good day for Oldham. They're another side that have been a little bit hit and miss as of last few weeks, mainly miss Oldham. Maybe that result could spring them into life a little bit more in that one. Don't really know if you've got anything to say on that. I saw Swindon won. They beat Rotherham in extra time. Good result for them. Aaron Drinnen being red carded in that one in the 97th minute, which is quite an interesting one. I wonder if that's a second yellow card. Will that take into the league, or will that be second round now? I don't know. It's because we've got Swindon. No, never mind. You've got Swindon, have you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure next game. I presume it'll be taken through to the next round because they're still in the competition. But
yeah, probably.
We'll wait and see. I hope it's not. I hope it's in the league. So
I wonder why that is.
I couldn't guess. I don't know. You got anything to add on them? Maybe those games. This is so very much a chat in the pub, so to speak. Really.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
We're both on summer fruits. It's not like we've got any beer in sight. No, 7-0.
To be fair, the Swindon result is that's an impressive one. Whenever a League Two team takes a League One team down, that's always it kind of catches your eye a little bit. I know Rotherham haven't in recent times haven't necessarily been as good as we probably resonate as much as we think of Rotherham as top end League One, bottom end Championship side. They've probably not been that recently, really. So again, it's probably one of those more believable ones, but I do think it's made more impressive by the fact that Swindon have gone there and won. For me, that kind of adds an extra layer to it. And to be fair, I look at some of the names that are in that Rotherham side as well. I would expect them to perform better. So I think you've got to give credit to Swindon where it's due.
Yeah. Absolutely. Looking at it, I didn't realise until you said it, Jordan, the idea of Seb Palmer Holden scoring against his former Loney club.
Yeah, I only sort of brought it up because it was put in another chat. I was like, oh god, yeah, he used to play for Newport, didn't he? And I know how much Kieran used to love him. So
yeah, I completely didn't realise. So but I think Oldham finishing off a 6-game winless run with a 3-1 victory against the side in the league but above is just incredible. 3-0 at half time. I can't imagine what them Oldham fans are feeling like. It's some win and it's some confidence. Surely that's confidence going into the league. It's got to be. Oldham fans must be buzzing that the manager's son's got 3 goals. It's as easy as that. Whack your son on and it'll be cracking. It's a fair play. It's a cheat code.
absolutely. Good win for them. Great result. Can imagine the scenes in the household after that.
Absolutely.
Beers are on the lad then. Salford picked up a good win. They beat Lincoln. Need I say any more?
All of us just smiling because we know who has to edit this podcast.
It was an unlucky result. Lincoln should have won.
But yeah, look, I mean, the one on penalties, I know Jake has mentioned a few times how much Salford don't really like penalties. A late goal from Kelly Mai, of course, a player that I've certainly waxed lyrical on this podcast quite a bit. And the Yammy's getting the job done there. So, fair play to them. Barrow got the job done against non-league Spennymoor, 2-0. Not really much to say there. Chesterfield beat high-flying Stevenage. They're really flying high.
Oh, that's an impressive one, actually. Thinking about that a bit more, that is impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's taking a penalty to do it, but
what's even more
doesn't matter how you do it. It's just that they did it.
I can't remember how long it was, but I think I saw something in the chat. That's Chesterfield's first penalty in like a year or something.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
stupid like that.
That's nearly as bad as our luck with penalties.
I think they have had complaints over previous weeks about penalties not being given. I know in our game, although that wasn't the big decision of the game, pointing that out, but they have had complaints and had responses back. So I think they always did want penalties and felt hard done by them. So I think it's about time, really. But
I know that we get a lot of penalties, but I think we're quite fortunate to not give one away yesterday. I think there was a Stonewall not given in the first half, and I think if they'd have given that, and if Absolute might have scored it, it might have been a different story in that one. But look, we'll take it. I know we've mentioned Tranmere's result, but I'll mention it again. Lost 3-1 at home to Stockport County. Aren't they? I think they're top of League One.
Yeah, top.
Yeah. I think they'll go up this year. I think Stockport are a club on the rise. It's normally the fact that they lose a playoff campaign, they'll go up the next season. That's sort of the vibe that I'm getting with Stockport at the minute. I really rate Dave Challoner and the job he's done there.
Really strong team.
Yeah, and we should probably mention Notts County's result, losing to National League side Brackley Town on penalties. Of course, they conceded that penalty right at the end of normal time, 96th minute, and he ended up going on to lose the penalty shootout. Misses from Alassana Jatta and Keenan Bennett for the Magpies, and they crashed out in round one.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Again, I'm just kind of looking at the squad Notts had out. That don't get me wrong, Brackley are a very, very good side for non-league. They've kind of been up and coming for a little while. But with the side that Notts put out, I probably would have expected them to just, get the job done, even if it's just a really boring 1-0 or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, it's the fact that they were ahead twice as well. Come on, I'm kind of lost for words a little bit as to how they've managed to not win that. like I said, Brackley are a very good side. I'm sure whoever they end up with, they'll give whoever it is a game. I'm sure. But for me, that not side, they had all the first teamers out essentially. All of the first teamers were there and playing. For me, they had to do a whole lot more there.
Yeah, I think my question is, obviously they only got to take 5 penalties, not to County. But you bring in Maya Traore on in the 113th minute, he should realistically be an attacker who should be able to score, and he didn't get the chance to take a penalty, and the same with Will Jarvis, These are 2 players who you should, really, obviously, Jarvis especially fairly young, but and inexperienced, and that's Will Jarvis did take a penalty. I apologise. Maya Traore didn't know. So my point still stands, and I think you've got to sort of wonder why out of the top 5, one of the strikers or attackers in that system isn't taking a penalty. But
it's confidence, I suppose, isn't it? But then that kind of asks a different question of why is your attacker not confident?
It's managerial structured, but I guess at the same time, I think you probably want your players to put their hand up to take a spot kick or whether they want it.
Yeah, we've had that, and I just hope that if it is confidence, he gets it back, because that's the worst thing for a player is to be lacking confidence. And I think, fingers crossed that if it is, he'll get game time in the league and regain that. Because when I saw him, he was a brilliant player. He just, needs to develop.
Absolutely. I think it's probably the pick of the results, considering the League Two sides in there. What happened?
Yeah.
There was a fair few League Two sides that played today. Shrewsbury got the job done against non-league South Shields. Looked a tricky tie for them on paper, but very good first half, which sees them through. 2 goals for Anthony Scully and 1 for Tom Sang there. Walsall got the job done at non-league Eastleigh, winning 3-0 there. Evan Weir, Daniel Carnu and Jamil Matt on the score sheet. In that one, getting the job done there. And then Accrington Stanley, as mentioned, 2-1 winners in extra time against non-league Gainsborough Trinity. So Grimsby Town will be the only Lincolnshire-based side in the FA Cup heading into round 2 there. Paddy Madden and Charlie Caton on the score sheet. Caton in the 95th minute in extra time there. I expected Gainsborough to give him a game. Maybe a little bit disappointing in South Shields, but again, at the same time, they're still coming up against a side 2 divisions below them. Walsall kind of half expected it, really. I don't think there's really massive major shocks there. Maybe Gainsborough to an extent, but I always felt there's some, probably because I'm a little bit local and I know that there's 1 or 2 players that I know there, but I always felt they'd have given Aki a game, and it looked like they did, really. So I'm personally not that surprised. Let's just put it that way, Nursery.
I mean, for me, the Walsall game I got to watch, and to be honest, first half I thought Eastleigh dominated them. I thought they absolutely thrashed them, and if it wasn't for unfortunate shooting of Tranmere Loney there, Harvey Saunders, Eastleigh could have been 2-1 up. Obviously, unfortunate defending from the corner and ball goes in the back of the net, back post, and then suddenly, if there was someone scoring in that first half after that goal, it was going to be Eastleigh. So fair play to them, and then obviously quality in the second half. They just came out the traps and dominated, and there wasn't a game for Eastleigh in the second half. Walsall dominated start to finish, very, very clinical. And I guess that's what you need. I see a team in the division above, don't work too hard. Don't overextend what you need to do. Get the job done, go home, refresh, come back for the important league games against, tougher on paper competition.
Yeah, pretty much exactly that. It's just putting in professional performance, obviously taking it seriously, but it is game management, isn't it? When you come up against the side that you're definitely expected to beat. I mean, don't get me wrong, Eastleigh are a reasonably good side for the level they play at. And actually, you look at some of the names in that squad, and some of them were in League Two very recently. So they're clearly not a bad side. But no, like I say, it's just about being professional. Get yourself in the hat. Who knows what happens if you can get through a couple of rounds, potentially get yourself a big tie out. That's what the FA Cup's about, isn't it? The whole magic of the cup, as it were.
It's about losing the first round for me.
I know that.
No, not for you.
Well, I'll take the quarter final. We lost. Brighton are amazing, but I think we'll probably look at it in a few years' time and thinking we lost to Brighton in that. Obviously, that was a season that they made Europe and all that, and I feel like I'm disrespecting them a fair bit. And they're a good club; they're doing wonderfully, and we've pretty much nicked their analytics. Well, Jamestown, and I can't even say the word.
Analysis.
What word was that?
Analytical.
Jamestown Analytics. That's it. Why? That was so hard. Like it was. I feel like it's about I don't know. There's certain words I struggle with. Right. So, what I can see on here, the League Two teams that are in the second round of the FA Cup, Crawley are not one. Bristol Rovers, Cambridge United, Cheltenham Town, MK Dons. I'm expecting away. Yeah. Doncaster aren't in the League Two, are they? Fleetwood Town are in there. Grimsby Town are in there, just about. I'll tell you what, we totally mentioned Harrogate lost at Mansfield. I totally forgot about that game.
Well, they lost. They'll forgive you.
Was always going to be a difficult game for them. Newport are through. Oldham are through. Swindon are through. Salford are through, beating Lincoln there. Barrow are through. Chesterfield are also through. Probably mentioned Lee Bonus to goal scorer in that one. His first goal for the club from that penalty as well. Tranmere are not through. Sorry, Jack. I've forgotten who else. Shrewsbury through. Walsall are also through as alongside Accrington, Stanley. So we'll be seeing the draw. I think tomorrow the draw is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
For the second round. So be interesting to see. Here we go. Have we got time to go through the League Two team of the month? Have you got it, Luke? Or no?
I don't have it to hand. I'd say let's leave that for socials, and maybe we can touch on it another time.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I guess we are.
A question to you both.
Go on.
Out of those League Two teams you just mentioned, excluding your own, who do you think is going to go the furthest in the competition?
Oh, why'd you have to say excluding your own?
Well, yeah, I'm good Dons otherwise, but
that's a very good question.
It is a good question, actually. I'd expect Chesterfield to do well. I'd expect Swindon to do well.
I'm going to throw one out. I'm going to throw one out there in which I feel is sort of similar to us when we had ours. I feel like Oldham might have a good run.
That's a shout.
There's something about. I just feel like they've got it in them. I'm not sure if they're right up there in terms of fighting for much for League Two this year. I don't think they'll go down. Maybe they might look to try and have a bit of a cut run. And I think maybe
they're just the right sort of team for it, aren't they? Because they're just tough to beat. They're they're not flashy, but they're tough to beat.
That's the vibe I get from it. I feel they could do one or two things in it. Again, there's no real reason as to why I think that. Just a feeling.
Well, yeah, we'll look back on these predictions like in a few weeks' time or whatever, and it'll have gone horribly wrong, and it'll be Accrington in like the 5th round or something. But
who are you saying, Luke?
I'm gonna go 1-2. I said to begin with. I will say Chesterfield. I think I know we've questioned their defence at times, but at the same time, the experience in that defence could be quite handy in a cup situation. So having your Dunkleys, your McFadzeans about the place could actually be quite useful. It might be enough for one-off games.
I'm gonna throw it up that. So it's either going to be Fleetwood or Barrow for me.
Barrow's not an awful shot.
Barrow. I'll go for Barrow.
Yeah,
and then we'll see. Next round we can come back to this, and
again, it's hard to tell because we don't know who's got the second round yet and what they're going to do. So I don't think there's no real right or wrong answer really at the moment.
There will be, and we'll all be wrong
tomorrow night. And there might be a better idea of it, but no, look, I've enjoyed this. It's something different. We have sort of gone a bit off both in the league and the FA Cup, but I guess this is what we do when we're having to try and improvise as there's no League Two action there. But we'll be back with the good stuff next week. Of course, the preview and the review. Will be making a return after a week's break. Also, go and check out the underrated 11 that you did with Jack Mitchner. Right, Luke, isn't it? I'll be honest, I've not watched it yet. I need to.
Wow, thanks.
I've just not had a chance, and I'm really sorry that I didn't get a chance to contribute as well. But when you're chasing around a 1-year-old, it's fast as lightning these days. On the day that you wanted him, it was quite difficult to put in the time. But I'm really excited to listen to that, and be sure to go and check that out if you haven't done so already. Let us know your thoughts, of course. Thank you very much for tuning in. This might be horrific for some, but if you did enjoy it, let us know. We might try and do some more of these somewhat little chit chat ones. Might be how we go for. I don't know yet. But make sure you do all the usual, like, subscribe, download the podcast wherever you get it from. Thank you to Sky, of course, for sponsoring this podcast. As always, we'll see you in the next one. This has been the League Two Lowdown. Have a great day.